Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It's brought to you by the Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. That's where we are today. Adam Caplan's in the house on a football Friday, a happy hour Friday, a reaction Friday, a Spitgate Friday. You name it. It's all happened. It all happened in the game last night, and we've been breaking it down for you. We've been getting just an avalanche of text messages today. But we're going to break down this game. The Eagles win, and sometimes a week one game can lie to you, Adam Caplan. We saw it last night. It was a close game. A couple drops changed the complexion of that game. Certainly an ejection changed the complexion of that game. But how much truth serum do we put in that game last night?
Yeah, Mike, that's in my notes to you. That's what I try to warn you about, Mike. You got to be careful of making a lot of conclusions. You make a note of everything, but you just try to put it in proper perspective, what it really means. There's certain things that are really noticeable, which are really interesting. So let's get started, Mike, with the Eagles' offense. Hurts, I've not seen him run this well. I mean, he's always been a power runner, but the thing, we saw a little bit of this last year, but this game, Mike, he has added a dimension, what we call making unblocked defenders miss. I mean, he's really good at it. He was more of a power runner earlier in his career. He's not just that anymore. So, I don't know if it's watching tape, he's more instinctive, whatever the case may be. Chris Collinsworth said it right. He completely humiliated their defense. Other than the big play, Mike, I mean, it was just a big-time throw by Hurts to Dotson. Everything was underneath. There was really nothing. He did make some throws, by the way, to Goddard, which is what I'd said on our pregame show with Greg Cosell and Jeff Mosher. I said, look, Goddard's going to be my player of the game. Now, he did have a lot of receptions, but nothing. It was basically less than 6 yards, pretty much every play. So, while the passing numbers weren't great, Hurts was very efficient. By the way, no mistakes. No turnovers. You'll take that any day. That's winning football, and they'll build off that, make their corrections, and move on. But and then look, let's face it, the delay hurt both teams' offense. What a well, I'll keep this clean for radio. What a bleep fest it was. It was awful. That coming back from the break, Mike, it was pure torture.
Jalen Hurts last night, according to our friend Jeff Kerr over at CBS, 6 of 6 for 78 yards, 7 carries for 32 yards, and a touchdown on third down. He won the game with his third down performances last night. That's where he really shined.
Mike, I'm just amazed at. I always said he's a nice runner. Obviously he's great, and with the tush push, but it wasn't just the push play, Mike. I'm really fascinated to see. At some point, the passing game will be a bigger factor, and obviously, it's tempo of each game, Mike. The great game script will tell you where that goes. And we saw in the Super Bowl, Mike, when Hurts had to throw, it didn't throw a ton. He was really good. So. We'll have more on this next week. The Inside the Tape show drops Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern on all platforms with Greg Cosell. I'm very interested to see or hear what Greg thought of Hurts in the passing game in that game.
Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds podcast on all podcasting platforms. One thing that we talked about is the run game here. Late in games last year, Philly would run that game out, and that's how they would beat you. They could not run the game out last night, and they ran the ball okay for the most part, but it wasn't a typical game where they run the game out and end it.
No, a couple things happened. When Shipley, by the way, boy, did he look good.
Yes, he did.
We've liked Shipley for a while. We didn't agree with their decision to have Gainwell to play over him. We understood why, strictly because Gainwell's this phenomenal pass protector. That matters to coaches. I get that. But Shipley's explosiveness, juice, which we've talked about for 2 years, you saw it on display on that catch. Unfortunately, was it on special teams he hurt his ribs? I can't remember. It might have been, but
I think so.
He left early. Did not return, Mike. That's not good. And there was a concern with his body type. Would he hold up physically? So that's something to watch, and that's why you saw A.J. Dillon come in. Dillon looked good on that 9-yard run, not much after that. Give Dallas credit. They didn't stop the Eagles' run, but they controlled it. And on Barkley, I got to give Barkley credit. He made some nice runs on his own where it wasn't blocked great. So, yeah, I give Dallas credit. Historically, they've been a terrible run defense. I know Kenny Clark's helped. There's no question with that trade. Jerry Jones is now, of course, sticking his chest out. Good job, Jerry. For one game, your run defense actually showed up.
Yes, they did. They played well late in that game, too. I mean, that's what it was more for me, was late in the game. They did a good job there, kind of holding up there. Barkley never really was able to break the big one there. Shipley, as you said, looked pretty good in his series, and Dillon got a series in there. I think he had 3 carries for like 10 yards. But the wide receivers, it was a Dotson night. He had the big plays. He had 20 yards a catch, 1 catch for A.J., and a lot of underneath stuff the rest of the game.
Yeah, I was saying with our Patreon group on Discord, I was like, all right, guys, this is real simple. That was just to get A.J. Brown a catch. I really felt like that. I mean, it's not like they're going to admit that, but it really felt like it. Yeah, it was weird, man. Now, again, we're going to have to find out by coverage, what happened. Was he not getting open? Do they need to do a better job scheming him open? Was he open, not getting the football? We don't know that yet because it's all going to be tape-based, all 22-based. You can't tell FTV, but it was a weird game. But good to see Dotson being used. He had a really good offseason, Mike, and I know the Commanders did not want him. They were very down on him at the time of the trade. I'll leave it at that. And he's really helped himself with his full offseason. That throw by Hurts is super big time. Great job by Dotson tracking it, and they beat Kaiir Elam, who I thought they'd go after anyway at some point.
Well, they had a big night from Dotson. Good to see him kind of evolve a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe if he gives you 3 for 57 like he did last night, that's a weapon. That's a guy that you can incorporate into your offense, and that stems from what we saw from him in the playoffs. He made some plays in the playoffs, and as we talk about him, Goddard was a big part of the game because it's funny. So many times, like, man, they got to get Goddard involved. They got to get the tight end involved. Well, they got him involved last night.
Yeah, he looked good. Very happy. You should be. Eagles fans, that they got him involved early too, and that's the thing. I've always felt like Goddard and Hurts's chemistry has just been inconsistent. But look, they've worked together a number of years. Jalen's in another year as a starter, you would think it would get to be better there. So that was good to see. Again, there are going to be some weeks where they're going to have to throw more. It was a very odd game. Week 1, Mike, could fool you. I've learned my lesson of just let the thing play out. Don't make any like on our YouTube comments. I'm laughing and people are making fun of this guy. This dude, there's one dude who totally overreacted, blaming coaches. It's Sirianni's fault that the game was close. It's just really, it is unbelievable. So, Mike, I was going to ask you this: what's been the tenor of the text messages? Are they overreacting, or are they not worried at all?
We've got like a record number of text messages today, by the way. I mean, the text board is like an avalanche of text messages. And it has been kind of, one guy, okay, just to give you an example. One guy says Carter should be suspended for 6 games. Then you have a woman who says he shouldn't be suspended at all. So, I mean.
Where are you getting that? Okay, he shouldn't have done that. Let's discuss this, Mike. Look, we got the video. I know, there's a saying, Mike Pereira, I remember him, the director of officials, who's wonderful. So I remember getting to know Mike, and because I was trying to figure out, like, how do they evaluate personal fouls and when guys have to get fined or thrown out. He always tell me, we cannot legislate intent. We just go by the letter of the rule. Well, this is unsportsmanlike, and you can't spit at a player. That's just not right. And they're look, in recent years, Mike, they've been the taunting stuff, like they're really cracking down there. They put an emphasis on it this year. Now, I'm going to be honest here. Coaches, I don't know Nick Sirianni, and everything I've heard, he's a wonderful guy, coaches players hard. And I know Jalen Carter sometimes is a little bit immature, but you got to make sure, you got to emphasize this stuff. The refs are looking for this stuff. Like, I get it that Prescott did spit. Prescott talked about it after the game, but he says he does it all the time. It was nothing personal. It wasn't even close to where Carter went, but he did spit. What Carter should have done is point at the ref. Hey, man, did you see how he spit at me?
Yeah.
And back away. You ever see that in a lot of sports where, like, if someone throws a punch, you just back off and you point at the guy. You go, hey, see what he just did? That's what Carter should have done, and he's going to learn from this. And I'll be also interested to see if the Eagles, what they've done in the past with players. We've seen a lot of coaches do this. Okay, the guy might not start a couple plays. Well, good luck with that when you're trying to beat the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, so the reaction's been all over. In fact, quite frankly, we've been so busy, we've been only to get a fraction of these text messages. We're going to try to do a little bit more here. What about the offensive line last night and their role in the lack of run game and this game overall? Because usually, that's where your bread is buttered up front with those guys.
Mike, I was surprised. I thought they got handled at times. That's what it looked like to me. I don't think they were crisp. I thought they had some problems in the run game. Pass pro sometimes wasn't great. We're looking to find out were there any times where Hurts held on to the ball a little bit too long. We know that at times in Hurts' career that's been an issue. That's been well documented. I'm just curious I don't know. Look, let's not forget Dickerson with his back. That was a problem, Mike. He looks a little bit heavy to me. I'm not the only person who studies what the Eagles are doing and feels that way around the league. It's been mentioned to me last couple of months that you worry about with all the knee problems, Mike. Now he's got a back problem. And how about that, Brett Toth? Okay, so that right now I wonder next week if Dickerson can't play. I wonder if they'll go with Brett Toth or will they try Matt Pryor?
All right, well, that's something to keep an eye on there, definitely, for sure, because you're right. This left guard spot, if Landon Dickerson can't go for a little while here, is Brett Toth the guy that they're going to go with here. Let's shift over to defense. No Jalen Carter. They only had a couple of defensive tackles, I think 4 in all last night. So obviously lose Carter, huge loss, but how does it affect not only the rotation, but then everybody else? You're talking about you got no pass rush last night. Well, normally Carter gets doubled and triple teamed, and that opens up everybody else. That went out the window from the first play of the game. Yeah,
for majority of the season, Jalen Carter was the most double-team defensive tackle, and he's not really good at defeating them. One-on-one, he's impossible to block. He wins. His win rate is huge. But, Mike, I thought last night the pass rush – look, we've been on this pass rush thing for months. It's on Inside the Birds. We've talked about it. We knew it would be an issue. You try to warn people with Jalen Hunt, he's not a developed pass rusher. You have to give it time. You can't just snap your fingers. Oh, he's going to be a great pass rusher. This is only his 4th year as an edge rusher, Mike. Let's not forget, he went to Cornell as a safety. So he's been a nice story, but let's just let it happen. I would say that Josh Uche had a couple of nice rushers, what they're called QRs, quality rushers, as coaches told me over the years. They like that. Cam will line up as an edge rusher a little bit. But overall, Mike, it was lacking, and you mentioned it, you nailed it. Carter not being there changes everything. And Ojomo, he had one decent rush I saw. He was kind of invisible. And understand with Gabe Hall, he's not a run game. He's not a run-down guy. He doesn't stop the run. Byron Young is a little bit more stout. And we try to warn people with Ty Robinson, particularly in our pregame show. Greg Cosell said it. He felt that Ty Robinson was not ready to contribute. And, by the way, Ty Robinson was healthy and active.
Yes, he was, and they were down a guy with Carter out, so they probably could have used a little bit of him. Gabe Hall played 5 snaps in the game last night, but it was mostly Davis and Ojomo for most of the night last night. Let's
go to real quick. Davis, I talked to Greg Cosell today. He thought this is by far his best game as a professional, from beginning to end. With Davis, Mike, I just wanted to make sure I said this. His issue has been flash plays, and then you don't see him. Like, he'd have 4 or 5 wow plays, and the rest of the game didn't do well. He showed up big time. This is where being in great physical shape for him, he's a big dude, is showing up. I can't believe I'm going to say this. For him, he looks svelte in training camp. Because Jeff and I were at the Maxwell Club Awards his rookie season. He was obviously a mountain of a man, like Linval Joseph. I don't know if you remember Linval Joseph from the Eagles
absolutely.
2 years ago. Linval is one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen. Jordan Davis looks so good physically in training camp. We just didn't know, can it transfer, how well we could. It's only one game. Again, we're not making any broad statements. But he played extremely well. Great sign. He's just got to be consistent with it.
Let's look at that group of edge guys because Ojulari was not active yesterday, so they only went with 3 guys. It was Hunt, it was Smith, and it was Uche. Well, they did have Patrick Robinson, I guess, was out on the field at times as well.
Yeah.
But a little bit of an up and down group last night, and obviously having Carter out affects them big time. Yeah, and Johnson did play some snaps on defense. He had a really good training camp, and then typically when it happens, if he plays, he only plays special teams. But look, Oko Kronkro, I'm not surprised he was inactive. That was expected. But wow,
Ojulari, they gave a guarantee of the $4 million, $3 million they guaranteed, so they weren't going to cut him. He was a healthy and active, Mike. That's not good. So they've got a major problem, Mike, at edge rush here. It's only one game, but this is a carryover. This is not new, though. If something was new, you go, okay, no big deal. This is not new. This is a carryover from the entire offseason. And I'll be interested to see what they do here, whether they go out and sign another veteran by the trade deadline. If this is continuing, there's no look. They were in, about the ESPN story in Parsons. Now, that's just because he came available. Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, if anyone is available who's a big time player, he's in on it. I mean, that's just he'll at least make the call. So that's that. But it's a problem, Mike. This pass rush is something that's just got to be better.
Adam Caplan, Football at 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. And Adam, in a moment, can tell you a little bit about what they're doing this season. A lot of new shows, a lot of good stuff that you want to get more reaction. But let's look at the linebackers. I thought Zach Baun running down Sanders was the play of the game, by the way. He doesn't make that game-saving tackle. Who knows how this game and this conversation is going?
This just came from ESPN. The Eagles are signing Za'Darius Smith, who's a good player. He's a veteran. He's new.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I like this. So he was with the Lions last year. He's a really good pass rusher when he's like got everything going. He could also, this is important, he could line up inside, like the BG role. Like if you want him to play, he's played actually inside in nickel. So they need to listen. Mike.
69 career sacks, by the way.
Yeah, the guy's a good player. Yeah, he's a good veteran presence. The Lions had some interest, as I understand, in bringing him back, but the Eagles beat him to it. It's a good signing. I like this move. Good job by Howie.
By the way, live breaking news right there. Za'Darius Smith, former Lion, Minnesota Vikings, 1-year deal with Philadelphia, 69 career sacks, 9 last season for Za'Darius Smith. Okay, let's look at we look at linebacker, the game-saving tackle, but what about the two rookies, Campbell and Makuba?
Yeah, boy, but Campbell showed up. How about Makuba? So basically what happened was, in base defense, which Vic Fangio, to his credit, I mean, he wasn't lying. They're a very low end, they're low total of base defense. Brown was the safety, but Makuba played, almost all of the snaps. Otherwise, it was all Makuba. So Makuba's a starter. That's when I say that, he's their main safety next to Blankenship. And I am a little surprised though, Mike, only in this because he missed time with two different injuries. And Vic, you saw what happened with DeJean last year. He didn't think DeJean was ready. He missed too much time. DeJean missed more than Makuba, but Makuba's just a better football player than Sidney Brown, who's a box safety. So I'm fascinated, kind of what this could look like. And here's another thing. DeJean played corner last night. He did. He played snaps at corner. In fact, I thought that was interesting. And then the other one was Quinyon Mitchell. He followed Pickens a ton last night. I'll have those breakdowns exactly how many. I know Greg Cosell. I'm going to talk to Greg over the weekend. He'll give me those numbers. Vic, to his credit, he did what he said he was probably going to do at some point. I just didn't think it would be that many snaps. That was pretty interesting.
All right. Finally, maybe one of the biggest social media outcries of the night was at corner where Dory Jackson obviously was 7 targets for over 100 yards. He had a rough night at the office. Bennett came in, but not because they thought Jackson was struggling, because Jackson got hurt. I think he was getting a concussion check. Once he cleared, he was back on the field. But I thought Bennett actually did a decent job. He gave up 3 catches on 3 targets, but he came right up, closed nicely, and made quick tackles. But what you do, and you just mentioned DeJean played some corner, but overall that position, that's going to be something to look at. Yeah,
I mean, look, Eagles would rather not do it at corner because they wanted Ringo to work. It didn't work. He didn't even play on defense. It kind of tells you where the coaches think of him. They've tried Bennett. He's not ready yet. Well, at least he wasn't. I mean, he had a penalty last night. I joked with our friends on Discord for Patreon, like they could have called 3 penalties on him. He was overly aggressive. But that's what you want. Look, the in-house guy would be Bennett. If it doesn't work, they stay in-house. Vic may just say, well, listen, we got to win games. We got to play better corner. It could be DeJean. I would not rule it out. Look, we know that we talked about this last year. They drafted him to play corner. Doesn't mean you can't change your mind. And they have an issue, Mike. These are, you notice it's interesting. These are all issues brought over from March when Isaiah Rodgers, who he signed with Minnesota, as we reported at the time. Though he had interest in coming back to Philly, and the Eagles had interest in him. He was looking to go somewhere he had a pretty good chance to start. And if he would have come back to Philly, here's the problem: you had the DeJean factor. He could have started a corner. The Eagles are going to give Ringo a shot, and he beat Ringo out last year. He didn't know, for all he knew, the Eagles could add another corner, and he'd be out of luck. So he made a smart move going to Minnesota. He got some guaranteed money in year 2, and then that was that.
No doubt about it. All right. And then lastly, you take a look at the special teams last night. I thought one big thing on the special teams was a 58-yard field goal by Jake Elliott last night, and that thing could have been good from maybe 68 yards.
Yeah, I don't think he was totally healthy last season. I know he went on the injury report, but he looked great, and he had a good training camp. But how about Braden Mann was absolutely phenomenal. He had, and you would only know this if you went to training camp, and I don't watch special teams a lot, but let me tell you something. Braden Mann, it was so obvious how well he was punting in training camp. So, when I go to these camps, I don't usually watch punters, but there's some times when, I've watched everything I want to watch. So, let me watch special teams. Look, he looked great in training camp. He looked great in the preseason. He is really good. He's taken his game. He was good for them before this season. Now we'll see how the rest of the season looks, but, Mike, he looks really good right now.
All right, real quick before we get out of here, we just talked about the breaking news. Za'Darius Smith is signing with Philadelphia. That's a 1-year deal, and he will be in here. And Ben Van Sumeren has been placed on injured reserves. It looks like his season is likely over. But I will ask you, Adam, is the Carter thing over? He'll play next week, or do you think that there will be more fallout from this?
Mike, I'd be surprised if he gets suspended. They're called this is what the way it's been explained to me over the years with this stuff. They have video. This is what's called mitigating circumstances. Yes, this is not good sportsmanship, and I know, again, I'm not covering for Carter. He should not have it's not retaliating. Prescott spit, okay? Whether he was spitting at Carter or not is not up to the league to say. They saw it on tape. Prescott has had what he said. Carter reacted to it, and that's what happened. Carter should have done that. I can't imagine that he wouldn't get fined, knowing the way these things are. I expect at least a fine, but it would surprise me. I don't rule anything out unless some report says, "Oh, the league's already decided he's not going to get suspended." But I'd be very surprised if it did. It did to me. It was poor sportsmanship. He didn't punch him, by the way. He didn't punch him, but you should never spit. That's bad sportsmanship, and that's where that's at.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. I look at it like this, too, real quick, Adam. You got Chiefs-Chargers tonight, a full game of games on Sunday. This thing is probably going to be over and done with maybe by the game tonight, right? I mean, they might talk about the pregame, maybe halftime, but then you're talking about this game and then a full Sunday group of games. Who knows? I don't want to say people are going to forget about it. I mean, I think it's a disgusting thing to spit on another human being, but in the news cycle,
it's bad, Mike.
In the news cycle that you're in, this thing might get lost in the sauce by 9 o'clock tonight.
No, it's not going to go away because it'll be on the Sunday morning shows. They'll have the reporters, because I know when I covered League Matters and I had to be on SportsCenter, Mike, I'm calling them because it's a big story. Anytime there's something like that, you got to know. It's I'm sure I guarantee you.
All right.
All the guys who cover League nationally who have got to be on TV, they're on it. Trust me on that. They'll absolutely have something on that.
Adam Caplan, Inside the Birds, and, of course, the Inside the Birds podcast. And you guys, a whole lineup of new things happening this year for all our Football at 4 listeners that want to hear more Inside the Birds. Adam, you guys got a whole bunch going on over there.
I do. Cosell's back. Derek Gunn and Ray Didinger have a show called Eagles Weekly. It's going to be twice a week starting this coming week. More announcements to come. Patreon.com/InsideTheBirds for so much more stuff. Get to know big-time Eagle fans, diehards, and check it out. Thanks, man.